Hey, what's up, God's people and fellow ambassadors? Yes, it is me, Tyrone, the ambassador, and I'm back with another video once again. So let's jump right on into this week's topic. Unfortunately, I don't have a particular scripture that I'm coming from. Or should I say a particular scripture that I'm going to lead out with as I've done in the past. But I do have a particular phrase that I would like to talk about. And that phrase is the world. What is the scripture referring to when it speaks of the world? So I've done a little bit of research and study on this and come to find out that whenever the scripture refers to the world, it is speaking of one of two meanings. And we easily can discern or understand which particular meaning is being applied at that time if we just gather a little bit of context clues surrounding that particular usage of the phrase the world. For example, if we were to take a look at John 3:16, a very, very, very familiar passage of scripture that we may have heard over 100 times. You even seen signs in the back of cars and billboards and postings and things like that. John 3:16 reads, "For God so loved the world that he gave his only begotten Son, that whomsoever should believe in him should not perish, but have everlasting life." So it's easy, using the context clues right, it's easy to see that this scripture is referring to the creation, the things that God has created. So the Greek word for the world or world is cosmos, which means the universe. Again, it all align and point back to the fact that God is speaking of, or this particular chapter and verse is speaking of, all the things that God have created. The heavens, the earth, the universe, and all that dwell thereof in that belongs to him. That is what this particular chapter and verse is referring to as the world, and saying that God so loved the world. But when we take a look somewhere else in the New Testament, for example, if we were to turn to 1 John chapter 2 and verse 15, that reads, "Do not love the world or the things in the world. If anyone loves the world, the love of the Father is not in them." Wait a minute, hold on. We just got through reading John 3:16 that tells us that God loved the world. As a matter of fact, he loved the world so much that he gave his only begotten Son. So what could possibly be wrong with me and you loving the world and the things of the world? Well, if we were just to read 1 John chapter 2 and verse 15 isolatedly, or just read it by itself, then it would be very contradictory to John 3:16 and confuse a lot of people. So let's take a look at verse 16 and gather up some more context clues. So verse 16 reads like this: "For all that is in the world, the lust of the flesh and the pride of life, is not of the Father, but is of the world." It is of the world. So in this particular chapter and verse, it becomes clear now that this is referring to, or the phrase the world is referring to, a certain mindset, a certain way of thinking, a certain way of believing. It is a lifestyle of living that is contrary and contradictory to the world of God, that is very indicative that the world is in need of being reconnected spiritually with God. To put it another way, think of it as a systematic philosophy that caters to our flesh and self-gratification. That's what it means in this particular verse. So, again, whenever we hear the term the world, it's referring to either the creation, the universe, the things that God has created, or it is referring to a very debased or reprobate culture, thinking, a lifestyle or behavior that is 100% contrary and contradictory to the things of God. I hope you enjoyed this very short training on, not training, but enjoyed this very short teaching on what is meant by the phrase the world. Again, If this is your first time tuning in, thank you for sticking with me all the way to the end. Don't forget to hit the like, share, and subscribe button. If you love to hear more foundational teaching, because this is foundational, we need that strong foundation to grow strong in the Lord. And this is the channel for you. Go ahead and hit the subscribe button. God bless. I will see you next time.